Stocks climb in the run-up to the union budget despite soft overnight cues, with the US Fed pushing out a possibility of a rate cut. Realty and oil and gas are the big gainers, while consumer durables and IT drag. Tata Motors misses profitability estimates by a wide mark, and while it holds on to JLR's margin guidance for the year, worries over demand and growth in China and Europe are the big worry for analysts. The stock slumps. After trimming its stake down to 51% last year, Whirlpool plans to power its stake to 20% in its Indian arm, reducing it to a minority investor. High relative valuations and the need for cash are likely drivers, but the move leaves the shareholders in a whirl. The stock tanks. SEBI spells out what amounts to a violation of its rules that bar registered entities from engaging with unregistered parties, offering stock advice or masquerading and as investor educators. SEBI says it could suspend or debar violators. Hello, good afternoon. You've tuned into Business Lunch on CNBC-TV18 and I'm Vinny Motiwala. A quick look at the markets today. It's a day of green again coming in for the benchmark indices as well as the broader markets. Nifty holding on to gains of 0.5%, almost near the day's highest point. 23,250 as of now is what the Nifty is managing to hold on to. Sensex 2 is holding on to good gains as of now of 0.4%. Top contributors for the Nifty 50, we have Reliance, that's doing well. HDFC Bank, M&M, Bajaj Finance, among some of the names that are pulling up the markets and supporting the markets. On the flip side, we have drags coming in from Tata Motors, Infosys, L&T, as well as Kotak Mahindra Bank on the flip side is actually among the drags for the Nifty 50. Mid and small cap that is performing decently well in tandem with the benchmark indices. Nifty Midcap is up 0.4%. The outperformance, a bit of an outperformance today, is coming in from the Nifty small cap that is holding on to gains of almost 0.7% in trade off the day's highest point, but nonetheless 0.7% of gains is what we're seeing there. Nifty Bank opened up in the red and then has moved to the green side, trading at the day's highest point. As of now, 0.3% of gain is coming in for Nifty Banks. Sector-wise, when you're looking at top sectoral gainers coming in are Nifty Realty, Energy, as well as Nifty Pharma, which is managing to hold on to very, very strong gains in today's trading session. While among the top losers, we have Nifty IT that's not doing well. And you saw on the Nifty 50 side as well, Infosys was among the names of the drags coming in for the Nifty 50. A lot of mid and small cap and names coming in from the Nifty 500. So Electra Green Tech, JBM Auto, Laurus Labs, Vijay Diagnostics, and Hitachi Energy are among the top movers coming in for the Nifty 500 side. But yes, that's how the market shape-up is looking like. As of now, managing to hold on to the green. Budget is just around the corner. Let's see how that keeps going in the next couple of days. But let's move on and get started with the show now. Market regulator SEBI has actually released a clarification that tightens the news on associations of SEBI-registered entities with influencers. Yash is joining in with us to actually give us more details on what this is actually saying and what is this regulation coming out. Yash, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So, of course, if you remember, in August 2024 is when SEBI had come out with regulations against financial influencers and the other unregistered entities. The intention back then was to disrupt the financial model for these influencers so that the relation between registered and unregistered entities can be broken at that point itself. Now what SEBI has done is that through certain clarifications, it has told market participants how to sort of disassociate themselves, the registered entities, to disassociate themselves from these financial influencers to make sure that there is no ambiguity on the table. Firstly, what are SEBI regulated entities? Stock exchanges, clearing corporations, depositories, mutual funds, asset management companies, as well as the agents, they are regulated entities. What has SEBI said? SEBI said that financial influencers or unregistered entities cannot provide any advice or any recommendation directly, indirectly related to any security on their behalf or the behalf of their client. Second thing that SEBI said is that financial influencers cannot make any claim of returns or performance explicitly or impliedly related to any security. Now, what constitutes an association between a financial influencer and a SEBI registered entity? Association can be in the nature of money or money's worth or referral of a client or interaction of information technology systems. Now, very importantly and interestingly, SEBI had exempted investor education from, the bracket of these regulations, and that continues to be the case, but it has filtered the word investor education. What SEBI has said is that financial influencers cannot use stock price for illustration, which is of the previous 3 months, which means the illustration stock price can only be used which is of 3 months ago for any of the education that they want to give. Also, educators cannot make performance claims without SEBI permission. This is a very important distinction which SEBI has made. Of course, the whole intention is to break down the model for financial influencers and disassociate regulated entities from these influencers.
Okay, Yash, thank you so much for the latest update coming in on that front. But let's move on. And Union Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw today announced that India will have its own AI model in the next 8 to 10 months, adding that the world is looking at India as a major contributor to artificial intelligence. He also added that India has over 10,000 GPUs that will power the AI ecosystem. Listen in.
In the India AI mission, we had taken the common compute as the most important part of the mission, and very happy to say that against 10,000 GPU, which was our target, we have actually empaneled 18,693 GPUs. Overall, net high-end GPUs अपने पास 15,000 आ गए हैं. The second big mission, as you know, was to develop our own model. And over last almost 1.5 years, our teams have been working very closely with the startup ecosystem, with the researchers, with many professors, और उन सब के साथ बातचीत करके we have created the framework which will be launched today. We are calling for proposals to develop our own foundational model, and we believe that there are at least 6 major developers who will be able to create foundational models in the next 8 to 10 months on the outer limit. So today, most of the major chip designers of the world are willing to work with India for developing a GPU on an architecture which can be very innovative, which can be more efficient compared to the existing ones. So that possibility is available to us today, and we are working on it, and hopefully I'll be able to share with you more details in coming weeks. The world definitely recognizes India as a major talent pool, and I'm sure you would have seen those parliament questionnaire, the answers that we had given in the parliament questions. Stanford University, they have evaluated many countries, and India ranks among the top on the AI skills and the AI talent which is available anywhere in the world.
Okay, let's move on. Maruti isn't focused on the back of its numbers. The company posted Q3 numbers that were in line with the estimates. Earlier, we caught up with the management of the company, Rahul Bharti, the Executive Director of Corporate Affairs, and he spoke about the company's export plans for FY25. Listen in.
For the first time, the India-made 5-door Jimny was unveiled. It debuted in Japan, and we hope to increase its volume. You would recall that some time back, we had started the exports of the Francs in Japan in August. And very soon after launch, it has done exceedingly well in Japan. We've done almost 10,000 numbers of the Francs in Japan. We hope to follow it up with the Jimny. And this is the third model being announced, including our e-Vitara, which will be exported from India to Japan.
Okay, on that note, we're going to step into a very short break. When we return, we'll get you the updates on the mid-air collisions that took place in the US earlier today. So stay tuned in for that. Welcome back and thanks for staying tuned into Business Lunch on CNBC TV18. Now, moving on to some national news that we have for you all. Now, following the stampede incident in Mahakumbh that claimed at least 30 lives, the state government has rolled out stricter measures to handle the crowds. The administration has implemented 5 major changes, including declaring the entire fair area or no vehicle zone. A one-way traffic system has also been enforced to streamline the movement of devotees. UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath also held a late-night video conference with the officials to review the situation. And in another unfortunate incident, an American Airlines passenger jet and a U.S. Army helicopter crashed into the Potomac River in Washington after a mid-air collision late last night. Officials say at least 60 people were on board of the aircraft, and take a look at the visuals.
Multiple deaths have been reported after a passenger jet and U.S. Army Black Hawk helicopter collided mid-air and crashed into the Potomac River Wednesday night near Reagan Washington National Airport. Police said several agencies were involved in a search and rescue operation in the river. The airport said late on Wednesday that all takeoffs and landings had been halted as emergency personnel responded. The Federal Aviation Authority said PSA Airlines was operating a regional flight for American Airlines, which had departed from Wichita, Kansas. American Airlines said 60 passengers and 4 crew were on the plane. A U.S. official said 3 soldiers were aboard the helicopter. Senator Ted Cruz of Texas said on social media that, quote, "We know there are fatalities," though he did not say how many. NBC reported that 4 people had been recovered from the river, while the Washington Post said multiple bodies had been pulled from the water. The National Transportation Safety Board said it was gathering more information on the incident.
And following the incident, American Airlines CEO Robert Isom issued a video statement saying that they were working with local authorities for emergency response efforts and were cooperating with all investigations. Listen in.
First and most importantly, I'd like to express our deep sorrow about these events. This is a difficult day for all of us at American Airlines, and our efforts now are focused entirely on the needs of our passengers, crew members, partners, first responders, along with their families and loved ones. We're cooperating fully with the National Transportation Safety Board in its investigation and will continue to provide all the information we can. Our cooperation is without pause, and we want to learn everything we can about today's events. Please know that we'll continue to share accurate and timely information as soon as we can, but anything we must report must be accurate. We owe that to everyone involved.
Okay, just quickly before we move on, just Mark Adani Ports. We had the numbers that came out for the company. The stock is holding on to gains of 1.2% as of now. They've said the FY25 guidance has been increased by the company. FY25 EBITDA guide, this is the EBITDA guidance I'm talking about. So EBITDA guidance is now at 18,800 crore rupees to 18,900 crore rupees. Previously, the guidance was 70,000 crores to 18,000 crore rupees. So keep an eye out on that. We had the numbers that just flashed at the screen at the bottom of your the screen. And you are seeing the guidance that is flashing at the bottom. They have revised the guidance upward as well. But let's move on that note. And US President Donald Trump also responded to the incident and took to his social media platforms, Truth Social, to call the air crash, I quote, a bad situation that looks like it should have been prevented, end of quote. He also added that the control tower should have alerted the helicopter in advance, since it was a clear night and a plane was likely to have been visible. Okay, on that note, we're going to slip into a very short break. But here's some good news for you viewers. India's business news leader is now a click away. Introducing CNBC TV18's all-new app. Get instant access to breaking news, in-depth articles, and financial world updates at your fingertips. Download the CNBC TV18 app now from Apple Store or Google Play Store, or just scan the QR code on your screen. Welcome back, and you're watching Business Lunch on CNBC TV18. Now let's focus and talk about MSC REIT. They reported their third quarter numbers, marked a 13% rise in terms of distribution and a growth of 9% in terms of EBITDA. We do have the management of the company joining in with us, Ritik Bhattacharjee, who's the CEO at the company, to discuss about the quarter that's gone by. Ritik, thank you so much for joining in with us on the show. It's a pleasure having you on the show. I want to just talk about the net operating income guidance that you've spoken about for FY25 of 3,280 crores, as well as the DPU guidance of around 22.7 rupees. Now the numbers, we're almost through with the year, but is this something that is achievable? And, are you on track to meet the guidance right now?
Yeah, first of all, Vinny, good to be here, and thank you very much for having me. Let me sort of put the performance in context, because your question, I think, is a lead-up question. We delivered effectively the highest revenues, NOI, and distributions that we had on quarterly record. In fact, our revenues crossed 1,000 crores, so this is effectively tracking as a 4,000 crore business. The DPU growth of 13% growth is effectively what the market's been waiting for. And I think all of that points to a very robust environment for us, both from a leasing perspective, as well as sort of the overall demand that we're seeing for our premium product in commercial real estate. So with that, I feel extremely confident that we're on track to deliver our guidance, both for leasing, which is 6.5 million square feet, that's upsized leasing guidance for FY25. And conversely, all of that also flows into us absolutely meeting the NOI guidance that we put out. We did put out a range of around between 3,215 crores to around 3,345 crores as a range, and we'll certainly fall very comfortably in that.
Absolutely. But, for next year also, do you think, you would like to give us some numbers on that front as well? What should we be expecting in terms of the NOI guidance or anything for FY26? Do you think this growth is sustainable?
It's premature for us. We've always sort of set the trend in making sure that we look out as far as we can in our business. But I'll say this. I couldn't be more excited about what's coming up in the upcoming year. Calendar year 2024 was a record year of absorption in the Indian office market. We expect the same tailwinds to continue in 2025, and obviously financial year 2026 should reap the benefits of that. For that, we have a development pipeline which is primed and ready to lease to GCCs. We've got 1.4 million square feet. We're actually delivering in February. Beyond that, we've got 3.2 million square feet upcoming for FY26. And really, all of this points to just us, catering to the immense demand that we're seeing, particularly from GCCs and effectively the world's best companies that are looking for all the talent that's available, particularly in anchor markets like in Bangalore, in Mumbai, in Chennai, all of which are markets that are running at over 90% occupancy and will continue to be massive growth catalysts for us. So I can't give you an exact number of guidance yet. I think we'll have probably more to say in the coming quarters, but really could be more excited about the business.
Absolutely. Ritik, if you could just give in some color in terms of the trends that you're seeing also in terms of your leasing side or any demand side, an indication that we could get in from you in Q4, how that is shaping up.
Sure. So just if you take Q3 and just even the quarters before, this has been a very GCC dominant business. So we lease approximately close to 70% was by GCCs, which continues to, I think, be a trend that's going to be on an exponential sort of multi-year cycle of demand. Secondly, we see a lot of demand continuing to come across a variety of different sectors, be it, banking and financial services has always been a staple in our portfolio, but we're seeing demand from engineering, manufacturing, technology. I think, even if you sort of throw the words AI into it, and you think about every single piece of architecture and business that people are doing inside our parks, there's just a consistent theme of, people across sectors, clients across sectors looking for space. The second thing I would say is that a lot of the demand is effectively non-SEZ, which continues to be sort of a theme that is playing out. We've actively sort of denotified and demarcated over 6.4 million square feet. And that's something we're just going where the demand is. So over time, over the next few quarters into sort of the next, call it 2 to 3 years, I think this is just the start of a multi-year early cycle for Indian office.
Okay. On that positive note, Ritik, we're absolutely out of time on this edition of Business Lunch. But thank you so much for tuning in and giving us those insights in terms of overall trends as well as what to expect from the company in terms of meeting their guidance also is what we're watching out for and better outlook going forward. Thank you so much, Ritik, for joining in with us. That was the management of Embassy REIT joining in with us on the show. But with that, we are absolutely out of time. So thank you so much for tuning in. Up next, your Midcap Radar.